Where is Mr. Bernhardt right now that he could not join us for this testimony?
I think he's in a meeting in the White House right now, sir. That's the only thing that would trump his desire to be here testifying personally himself.
All right. Well, maybe some of those famously detailed calendar entries that we've grappled with can help us. The ones that allude to things like meeting with no other detail. We'll look forward to finding out more. Now, there's also, if he was unavailable, the org chart would indicate that there's a Deputy Secretary of Interior that might have joined us, but there is no Deputy Secretary of Interior right now, and there's been no one nominated. That position, like so many others in the administration, is kind of hanging in limbo right now. But Solicitor is not bad. We're glad to have you here. It's very obviously an important position. You're the legal safety net for the Department of Interior. That's a big deal. You're the person who exists to make sure that the law is followed. And so it puts you in a unique position to talk about some of the legal work that you perform for Interior, and you've done that since 2017. So I want to ask you, for example, have you been involved in the review of ethics recusals for Interior officials, including reviewing the advice from career ethics officials that they get?
The designated agency ethics official, Scott Della Vega, is the one authorized.
I'm asking if you have been involved.
It depends on your definition of involved. The DAO reports to the Office of the Solicitor.
Have you reviewed either the recusal or the ethics advice given to folks like, for example, David Bernhardt, including during his time as Deputy Secretary? Did you review either the recusal or the advice given to Mr. Bernhardt?
The designated agency ethics official and the alternate designated agency ethics
That's a real clear yes or no question. Did you review either of those things, the recusal or the advice given?
The DAO and the ADAO meet with the Secretary on a weekly basis.
You're not going to give me a yes or no answer?
Oh yeah, well, I am going to answer. And in those weekly meetings where...
Mr. Jorjani, I got a bunch of questions here. Let's just do the yes or no, and then let's keep moving on. So is the answer yes? I mean, presume you're the solicitor. You're going to see these documents, aren't you? I mean, I've got Mr. Pendley's ethics recusal. You're copied right on it. Can we just stipulate that you review the recusal and also the ethics advice that these officials get?
I want to be careful how I phrase that. The DAO and the alternate DAO are the ones that perform the advice of Ethics Council. On a weekly basis, when you're asking about Secretary Bernhardt, at least on a weekly basis.
Okay, all right. This is a little bit evasive, sir, I'm sorry to say. But let me ask you a very specific question. I have here the ethics recusal for Deputy Director Pendley. It lists a number of recusals that apply only for 1 year, including Garfield County and Kane County, Utah. Why does Mr. Pendley only get a 1-year recusal instead of the standard 2-year recusal under the Trump's ethics pledge for those clients?
The 1-year recusal process is what's set forth in the regulations. The broader 2-year recusal process in paragraph 6 and 7.
That's the Trump pledge.
Trump's ethic pledge. Regarding the specific parameters of Mr. Pendley's recusal and his ethics agreement, I would direct those questions to the deputy agency ethics officials.
Well, you're the solicitor of the Department of Interior. There's no one better to answer a very specific legal question on something like this than you, and we've got you today. So here it is. I have a Trump ethics pledge, and I got it right here. It clearly defines when a 2-year ethics pledge ought to apply, and it applies to any former clients, period. Then there's a separate 1-year situation that you default down to if you were an employee of a government agency. Now, was Mr. Pendley an employee of those counties? You know the answer. Do I need to answer for you? He was not. They were clients. They were clients.
At the Mountain State Legal Foundation.
Yeah, and so that makes them clients. That should have been a 2-year ethics recusal. Mr. Jorjani, you are an astute and scholarly lawyer. I know you appreciate that words matter. And if you have been misreading or misapplying the Trump ethics pledge as it pertains to Mr. Pendley, I have to wonder if you've not either been misreading or misapplying it as it pertains to Mr. Bernhardt, because he also has some clients that you've given a 1-year recusal to, former clients, instead of the 2-year that auto apply. Isn't that true?
This is why the Secretary's obsessive focus on ethics reform has been so incredibly significant.
Oh, it's been
Starting-
obsessive, all right.
Starting with the hiring of a designated,
I'll yield back.
Let me turn to